Hello, everyone. It's time to bring back driver ratings. I was going to do it for Japan, but show me a single person that had anything interesting to say about for Suzuka this year. That race was awful. Let's kick things off with Nico Hulkenberg, who started the race in 16th, finished 13th, but was then disqualified. Just a heads up, I'm going to go off the pre disqualification results for all the drivers since the point scoring positions weren't impacted. I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. Honestly, the Sauber, once again, is looking like a tractor. Dragging it up into P13 is a quality drive. With no mistakes that I can think of, it was just great pace for such a bad car. The DQ wasn't his fault either, so I'm not going to let that drag his score down. Bortoletto started 18th, finished 19th, and was the last of the runners that finished the race. It's a 4 out of 10 for me. That could be harsh, considering he's in the slowest car, but he was just nowhere near his teammate. It's not like when Haas had Mick and Mazepin, and being 3 seconds off 18th was a good result. Hulkenberg has shown that when driven well and with a bit of luck, there are points to be scored. Moving on to Williams, starting with Sainz, starting 8th and didn't finish. I'm going to give Carlos a 6 out of 10. The coming together with Sonoda and the lockup causing the penalty, the weekend just did not go his way. A great quali and a decent race for the most part. But I think that Williams have the 5th fastest car this year. And I think as it stands, it's 4th fastest on some tracks. So I don't think I can give him anything higher than a 6 for where he was putting it. But I also don't think I can give him any lower than a 6 because what happened really wasn't his fault. Speaking of people who got screwed over, Alex Albon. I think he makes it into Q3 and finishes in the points if the stewards knew what they was doing. So he started 15th and finished 12th. He gets a 6 out of 10 for me, but I think that if things went the way that they should have with the stewards, he makes it into Q3, and I think he probably finishes around P8. Which, if that happened, I would have given him a 7 out of 10, which you might think would be low, but yeah, I think the Williams is quick. Moving on to Liam Lawson. Started 17th, finished 17th. It's just not a good drive from him. I'm going with a 2 out of 10. I'm not sure what he was doing in the race. It was a poor quali, and he just looked like he'd never been wheel to wheel with any car during the race. The midfield cars are fairly balanced this year. Alpine, Haas, and RB look to be very similar in pace. And if you had a gun to my head and asked me which one of those is the quickest, I'd probably say RB. So being the slowest of the 5 of those that finished is not good at all. Isaac Hadjar started 12th, finished 14th. 4 out of 10. Again, just not quick enough. Nothing went majorly wrong for him, it was just a lack of pace. We know the car's capable of points, so being a ways off isn't a good showing from the rookie. Esteban Ocon started 14th, finished 8th. Now, here is where people are going to start to disagree with me. It's a 6 out of 10. I've seen people talking about how it was a great result for Haas, finishing above a Mercedes and a Red Bull. They are right, but it wasn't down to Ocon for the most part. The race just played out perfectly. He drove well, but nothing to write home about. Ollie Berman started 20th, finished 10th. Again, I see people calling this a great comeback drive, but it wasn't. Like I said with Ocon, the race played out perfectly for Haas. The most I can give him is a 6 out of 10 also. Again, great result, good drive, massive luck. Now, I like Haas. This isn't me just going, no, they shouldn't be there. Get down, lower the ratings. No, I just think that the way that the race panned out, it just worked for Haas, and the drivers didn't have much of an input in that. They drove well, but it wasn't a great drive from either of them. Moving on to Pierre Gasly. Started 4th, finished 7th. What a drive. 10 out of 10. There was no luck involved in anything that he did. He was simply the 7th fastest man on track. And doing that in an Alpine with no outside factors is just phenomenal. One of the classic Gasly popping up out of nowhere weekends. His teammate, however, Jack Doohan, started 11th, finished 15th. A 4 out of 10 for me. A good quali, but the race pace just wasn't there. I don't remember him being badly affected by the safety car, so for the pace and result, I don't think I can give him any higher than a 4. Fernando Alonso, the oldest rookie on the grid, started 13th, finished 16th. 4 out of 10. Honestly, I can't remember a single thing to do with Alonso in this race, and I'm not going to lie to you and pretend that I do. He was just off the pace. He just did what Doohan did, but he was in a slower car, so it was further down the order. Lance Stroll, however, continues to be Lance Stroll. Started 19th, finished 18th. It's a 3 out of 10. Having the only car that finished behind you being a Sauber when you're in an Aston is not good. Also, being that far from your teammate in qualifying is just not good enough. Especially for someone who's been in Formula One as long as he has. George Russell started 3rd, finished 2nd. I've got a bone to pick with this one. If a driver opens his DRS when he isn't in DRS range, even if it's for only 1/10 of a second, he's broken the rules and deserves a penalty. Either he did it on purpose to check the error, which is stupid, or his engineer told him to do it, which is even more stupid. Either way, a 5-second penalty, and he should have been 4th. Amazing drive other than that, so I'll give him an 8 out of 10. Which, yeah, I know it's low, but I'm taking off those 2 points for opening DRS when not near anyone. It's such a dumb thing to do, and just because the stewards didn't penalise him for it doesn't make it right. The correct place for him to finish would have been 4th. Kimi Antonelli started 5th, finished 11th. I'm going with a 4 out of 10. Yes, he was hard done by with the safety car. But that Mercedes was so much quicker than the cars around him, and he should have been able to carve through them. And at bare minimum, score a point. And if George was in that same situation, after the restart, he finishes 8th. Good quali, decent race until the safety car restart, when he was just struggling with cars that were much slower than him. I think I'm being generous giving him the 4. Well, not generous, but fair, giving him that 4, rather than just making excuses for him. Max Verstappen started 7th, finished 6th. I'm going with a 7 out of 10. This track was clearly not a good one for the Red Bull. Or the Red Bull's just slower than we think. He started having some mechanical issues with his brakes during the race, and I think that 6th is a very respectable result. Yuki Tsunoda started 10th, finished 9th. It's hard to score the second Red Bull driver. I tried to take out what I think of the driver and just look at how fast the car is, what happened during the race, and how fast were they on the day. So with that in mind, I'm going with a 6 out of 10. If the lights in the Red Bull pits worked properly, he finishes ahead of Ocon, and then he's 2 places behind Max, which Red Bull will take him being 2 places back from Max every single race and see that as a massive success. He's still getting used to the car. It's only his second weekend, and to be making Q3 and finishing in the points for your second weekend in a car that's notoriously hard to drive, that isn't even quick when Max is driving it on the same track, is a good result. If I was doing the, oh, but for Yuki Tsunoda, this has to be a 9 out of 10 race. But I don't do that. I just look at the car, I look at the drive, I look at the result, I come to a conclusion. So, for Yuki, I'm sticking with my 6 out of 10. Charles Leclerc started 2nd, finished 4th. But once again, that should have been 3rd. I'm giving Charles a 7 out of 10. He put the car where it should be, and had much better pace than his teammate all weekend. The McLaren is a rocket ship, and having somewhat comparable pace is a great drive. 7 out of 10. Lewis Hamilton started 9th, finished 5th. I'm giving him a 6 out of 10. I think he got driver of the day when I don't see how. He was slow in qualifying, and in the race, shock, he was faster than people in slower cars and brought it back to where it should be, kinda. Being 8 seconds off your teammate after a safety car isn't great. It's by no means a bad drive. He did what he was supposed to do, and that's a 6 out of 10 for me. But nowhere near driver of the day material. Lando Norris started 6th, finished 3rd. Insert Lando bottle meme here. It's a 4 out of 10. Being so far back from your teammate and having to actually race anyone when you have by far the quickest car is not good enough. The difference in the McLaren to the other cars is like the 2023 Red Bull. If Max was 3rd in that season, without there being some sort of fault or other issue, I'm not giving him higher than a 5. And if I was going to give him a 5, that means that Perez or possibly Leclerc doing some magic to finish 1st or 2nd, that would be the 5. Which brings us to our race winner. Oscar Piastri. Started 1st, finished 1st. 10 out of 10. Perfect drive. Fastest car, but he was nowhere to be seen. 1st in both sessions that matter, and he had the fastest lap. He couldn't have had a better race. He did everything perfectly. That's it for my driver ratings. Let me know if you agree or disagree down in the comments. As always, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.